Now we will proceed to our next session, which is on Offbeat. Our respected chairpersons are Dr. Shamita Chatterjee, Dr. Arkaprovo Roy, and Dr. Rajendra Desai. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So we've had a lot of surgery, a lot of science right through the day. But there is another aspect of every surgeon's life, which even if we wish to, we cannot ignore. So this session is going to be very interesting. We've got three extremely dynamic speakers dealing with subjects which are, again, very close to our heart, even if when we don't want to deal with it. So I would like to call upon the first speaker, Dr. Diptendra Sarkar. He is a professor of surgery at the Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research. He will be talking on surgeon and the social media. Whether we like it or not like it, social media is here to stay, so we have to deal with it. So let's see what he has to say about that. Dr. Sarkar, please.
Good afternoon. And when you are asked to talk on an offbeat session, you still feel you are left out of the conference. But I feel this is quite a good enough reason to discuss on social media. And to begin with, I would put this quote: there are only two industries that call their customers users: illegal drugs and softwares. So therefore, I would begin with the statement that social media is a new evil in the civilization. And if you look at the cross-section of people sitting in this room, I would strongly feel that most of you would be very keen to agree to this statement. And I'm not going to take it to a poll, but let us see how big is the problem. This is a publication that came out, and it quotes in July 2022, which quotes that 59% of the global population uses social media. In last 1 year, there had been 227 million new users, and an average time they spend is 2.5 hours a day on social media. And if you look at the pattern of usage in the same publication, we'd understand that the most ill-felt group is the Facebook. The commonest user is the Facebook, combined with the YouTube and the WhatsApp are the first three common social media platforms which are being used. But if you look more interestingly on that side, you will understand that 57% of the global population lives in an urban population, and 66% of them uses a smartphone, and 63% of them are internet users. Of them, around 59% uses a social media. So if you are tempted to believe that it's only the urban population which uses this, you are completely wrong. Rather, you will find a large chunk of the rural population also using social media. If you look at the pattern of growth in last 12 years, you will understand that there has been a skyrocketing in the last 4 years, and things have come down to 4.7 billion users, and the projected estimate is around 6 billion by the end of 2023. That would mean that almost 80% of the global population is going to use a social media. If you look at the age distribution, you'd understand once again that it's between the 15 to 35 years age group is the main group which uses social media, and therefore if you look at them as your prospective client in the next 1.5 decades, they will be choosing you through a Google whether you are good or you are bad, through Facebook whether you are good or you are bad. And if you look at the Indian population at present with a median age of 29 years, that's a fat middle-aged population that you have in India. Therefore, you must understand that majority of our prospective clients already use social media. If you ask your undergraduate or your postgraduate or postdoctoral trainee which textbook they read or buy, most of them will tell that in their tab they have 18 books downloaded and none of them actually bought anything. If you ask them which medium they chose to prepare for the MCH entrance exam or the MS entrance exam, they are going to talk about Marrow and Prep Ladder, because I know their owners, they are like celebrities and cult figures because they teach in apps. And that's where the future is. And I am sure most of us, when we create our presentations, we search more of internets than textbook to take a reference. Now, if you look at business-wise, you will understand by 2025, $1.25 trillion business will happen in the social media. And if you look at the percentage of people which uses or chooses social media, top in the list would be the government. Very close top in the list in the government. Before you see something in a newspaper, Narendra Modi tweets it. So you know what came in the tweet is going to come next day morning in the newspaper, and therefore that is the major impact of social media in today's world. And therefore I rest my case, my lord, and it is no longer a choice. It is a mandatory to survive. You like it, it's like an arranged marriage. You like it, you don't like it, but you have to sustain through it. My teacher always told me, work in silence. Let your success be your noise. And this time when I met my teacher for the Bijay and had a pranam, he told me the same thing, work in silence, don't go to television channels. And when I look at noise, how can the noise come? It can be about reaching a people, it can be through journals, it can be through newspapers, it can be through televisions, and you think can be to social medium. But unfortunately, now you have e-journals, you read the Times in an app, and most of the TV channels would put it up in the Facebook about the major breaking that they had in the evening. So defining social media is another very difficult term. I mean, social media definition has been changing so abruptly. Basically, it's about people exchanging ideas and doing a networking on an internet. That's what it is. But it can have multiple criteria to meet in, but basically it's an exchange of ideas in the internet. It can be a social networking like the Facebook, which I'm sure most of you sitting in this hall, because I'm sure most of you have crossed the age of 34 years, would not like to use Facebook as something very close to your heart. You ask about professional networking, you have LinkedIn, you have Curify. I mean, when Rohan Khandelwal and their group started the Curify, I thought it was a nonsense. Now every day I see a new case report, an email shoot to me, and I actually answer in Curify about that peculiar case. It's about media sharing, I mean YouTube. Now, last week I was doing a laparoscopic esophagectomy, and I was stunned because when I was doing the azygos vein dissection, my trainee told me this is not exactly how Palanivelu does this, because he has come through the YouTube video of Palanivelu in the morning. So that's the amount of challenge that you are going to get when you have social media available in your phone. Now you can blog, a major blog, almost none of us is going to be a major blogger, but believe me, be it Mamata Banerjee, be it Narendra Modi, all of them are micro bloggers in Twitters, and they would put their statement in the Twitters. The only people who lag behind are the doctors. We have Wikipedias, of course. When I go through an answer sheet in a semester paper, I understand all of them has gone through the Wikipedia while they were copying, and because the answer from beginning to the end is the same. But having said that, Wikipedia is something where you actually go and in a click you get something. I would also like in the ending slide talk about the importance of virtual reality. What are the roles? We think the role is social, and those who are on the left side might think the role is professional, but there is no distinct watershed line between the two. It actually becomes socio-professional, because if you think it's social and you are not thinking that you are professionalism is there, but actually they intermingle. These are the benefits. Of course, it builds your professional network. It allows you to share your ideas. I mean, when somebody asks me about how many publications you have, I would tell you go to the ResearchGate and you are going to see how many publications and I have. You can actually read and endorse that. So that's become when you become an editor or an associate editor, you mandatorily need to go to certain sites and enlist yourself so that you know how many reviews you have done in the last couple of years. Other professional and peer support is something also essential, and if Probal Niyogi is voting, is a candidate for the ASI exam, if he feels that's important, he can campaign for the election. At the same time, I can campaign for a pink ribbon campaign in the month of October. You can follow debates and development around your areas of interest. There are perils. There are perils like this. As you see, you can have a new kitchen remedy curing cancers, and you can have wonderful drugs being advertised in the Facebook which cures coronavirus. I mean, these are the perils which we must understand, and strong legislation is the only solution. But this is again a very important study which was done by the Microsoft. It quotes that 79% of the employers, before they employ somebody new in their job, would actually surf their social media to understand his sense, his ethics. 7% only believe that they have been looked into. But the fact remains is that the Donald Trump government introduced the law that if you are to apply for a US visa, your social networking sites will also be served. You need to submit. You don't need to submit. They can actually scroll it in a second to understand what is your ideology and whether you will be denied a visa or not on the grounds of social violence. You must also understand that nothing is private these days. I mean, you think you are in a closed group, but you don't know whether this group is really closed or not. The peril number 3 is about losing the breaches of patient confidentiality. And this is about a true case in Instagram in March 2021, when a group of junior residents actually posted the amputated part of one of the patients, and they were tried and the verdict went against them. So when we post about a fantastic surgeon in a social media, we must understand that we are breaching the patient confidentiality, and the same laws apply that it normally should apply. And therefore licensing issues and legal issues come hand to hand as a sort of collateral damage if you are violating the ethics. These are certain professional guidelines. I'm not going to the details of them. But if you look beneath the last 3, which I'm going to highlight, the above ones you know, it's very good. But the last 3 are, you always tend to feel that I must speak up my mind. And the British Medical Association recommends that do not post when you are angry, drunk, or emotional. I mean, you don't post something which you don't want it to be appearing in a newspaper, and defamation laws apply accordingly. Now, when it comes to trolling, these are the policies which have been laid down by the British Medical Association as well as the American Association, is that number 1, do not feed such posts. If somebody defames you, do not try to counteract it. You respond in a neutral way. If it still doesn't work, you mute or block it. And if it still doesn't work, you report it as harassment and threats. But do not try to win the battle by typing something more offensive. It doesn't work that way. Now, this is about a study of a group of surgeons, about surgeons and the social media. It was done by one of the management groups, and they found that 90% of the surgeons or the physicians believed that social media is there. It's good, but they are not utilizing it. The reason being 71% are not educated to use it, and therefore your phenomenon is I'm not going to use it. 50% feels social media is not important right now. It's 12 minutes. I mean, I can get 1 more 2 minutes. And they feel that social media mostly misguides their clients. I mean, in this statement about a Google patient, I don't feel anything wrong. I mean, when I buy a new phone, I would always do the research. And when I go to a phone shop, I wonder I made such novice and unessential or stupid questions to the phone companies about the RAM and trying to look very smart about smartphones, but I am not. So it's the same phenomenon. There is no point, I mean, thinking that my patient is not going to research about my disease. If it's wrong, it's wrong, but it's his right to research about it. The technology that connects us, it controls us. I mean, we must understand that our data is being completely open and vigilant and guided by artificial intelligence. So the phenomenon that happens is that initially when a technology comes, we think it's a waste. And that I'm sure 5 years back, most of us thought like that. And those who are sitting in this room, cross the age of 35 years, think that maybe once in a while it's not bad. And then in 2025, you understand that it's a must. And by the time you realize it's a must, the train has already left your station. Your younger colleagues have already been up to the station, into the train, and into a motorway. So the verdict is appropriate use of social media is immensely beneficial, and there are robust level 1 evidence to suggest that, and all professionals have accepted it except possibly the silent surgeons who were taught that don't make noise, it's not required. And this is my picture around a couple of months back, and I wonder most of you whether you know what is this one or not. This is a virtual reality tool to use metaverse. And I don't know whether you have used metaverse or not. And for the first time when I was introduced into metaverse, I was wearing this, and I actually entered into a 3-dimensional room, and through the window I can look at the waterfalls and the birds flying in the sky. And I think I'm sure I can sit with my friends in US in the same study room and discuss about biliary strictures. And with this tool, what I was doing, I was going through a window, I was holding a body torso and turning it right like this, and I was dissecting the azygos vein right like this in this metaverse 3-dimensional tool. So believe me, if you think that social media is only about criticizing Narendra Modi or Mamata Banerjee, you are in fool's paradise. I mean, true professionals do not waste their post on that. If you are able to go beyond the drunken posts, it's a wide open field for you. Thank you very much.
Can I talk loudly?
Yeah, sure.
I couldn't agree more, because yes, many of us surgeons are very active in the social media. I'm just asking your suggestions. When in Google rating, certain oppositions or some other people just write nonsense about you, whenever there is an expected complication of surgery and they have to pay more, they immediately state that this hospital is a money-making machine, this surgeon is useless, and they write nonsense on that. What's your suggestions? That we can't remove that post? You're talking about blocking. You're saying we should not respond, but continuously, one of the leading newspaper, when there was a court case against me where I was not these things, I went and fought in National Commission myself, won the case, but still that post is continuing and not able to remove
Thank
it.
you.
So what's your suggestion on that?
It's a question that I would have asked myself, because the last post that I saw in my Google review is that somebody wrote, he's a coward doctor, because I refused to see one of my government hospital patients in my private clinic, and he wrote that. Somebody wrote, he's a nonsense doctor. Then initially I had tried, because I didn't create it, somebody has created it, and I saw my picture as somebody else because Google automatically drew it inside. Then I realized it's reality. People are going to review me like that. So what I've asked my secretaries when in my clinic, that if somebody tells me that, doc, you are a god, she tells, would you mind putting it in the review, please? I mean, that's the only way out. You think it's stupid.
That's not a problem, but when they say you're a dog, then what do you do? God is okay.
So there will be people writing about dogs, but there will be people writing about gods as well.
Okay.
So you need to upload those gods things, because the review depends on 4-star or 5-star depending on the inputs. So if you drink a cup of coffee in an airport, the guy who gives you, he tells you, sir, how was the coffee? And the next thing he tells, sir, would you mind putting in the rating, please? I mean, I understand for surgeons with big fat ego, that's very difficult, but that's the way forward.
Can I take that?
Yeah.
Just to answer your query, actually, problem is we are all Google illiterates. I don't think that we will deny we are all illiterates in this field. We don't know the subject. We don't understand how this rating works. We need to have a proper training program for this. Everybody must have faced it. I don't think that there are doctors who have not faced it. In that Google rating system, you have a flag. You can touch that flag and then you can complain to Google that this is unethical and this is a wrong complaint. They have a section into it. Once you put a complaint to the Google, then Google will answer that. That is complied to be done within 7 days. They will usually do within 7 days. And if you are still not justified, you feel that they have not taken a right decision, you can again complain them with the same thing. Actually, this has all been taught to me by one of my son's colleague, who is, I think, in 12th standard now. And he knows more Google than me. He told, we were all friends sitting over there, and he told that, why don't you do this? And then we realized that this is how you can do it. Second thing, what you told is very correct, that I think we can ask our patients to put this thing 2-star or 5-star or 7-star. Very easy. Ask your colleagues, your friends. If one person puts wrong about you, you have hundreds of your followers who can put positive to you. So I don't think that is our ego which comes in between. How can I ask him to put a star on that? So I think we can stop that.
Thank you.
Sir, regarding that flag part, I think once in a while you can do that. You cannot say all the negative reviews are wrong. With the flagging, what they mean is this is not a real patient. This is just like our enemy is putting up a wrong comment. So regarding flagging part, you cannot remove all negative comments. It has to be really genuine. And at times when you flag some 5 or 6 cases, at least one they may remove. That's all Google will do for.
But as you said,
having 5 or 6 wrongs means somebody is after you. Then you can't correct it. If there is one wrong, you can correct it in a day. Second wrong, you can correct after 7 days. The Google will again take it seriously. If somebody is having repeatedly daily wrongs, then Google will take that person also seriously. That there is somebody complaining against.
I think we'll take just one more comment.
Okay. When one person has just decided to do that, he'll ask us all his IT, especially IT people. They'll just ask all their friends group to just put a wrong negative comment. Once a negative comment comes, then you can see that all 6 to 10 negative reviews come together.
This will be the last comment. Yeah.
Sorry to sound very discouraging. The way Google model works is you are not important. Google is built for the guy who searches. Your business is not important. All this report and reviewer options, you try doing it, Google will never review, you will never get a reply, it will never be taken down. What gets taken down is a random thing and you can never predict it. Even if you find 5 reviews with the same surname, meaning all 5 members of the family have defamed a doctor because somebody died. you will still find the same thing there. So Google has no importance to the business owner. In our case, the surgeon. The client, the guy who searches, he is the prime customer. Google has to get him every time to Google for him to use Google to search for whatever he wants. Only then Google can sell ads. So you don't mean anything. The only way to do that is for the sake of, because they have a reviewer section, you go and file for a review. Don't expect an answer or a takedown. The only way to do that is flood your reviews with more positive reviews, and that is the way you can dilute your 3.5, 2.5 review into a 4.5 and 5. That is the only way to go about it. Do not get personally bogged down by these reviews. People can be very scathing when they write about it. They can say you are a killer, you are a murderer. Don't bother. If you go to any review, even about a phone, even about an iPhone, you will find reviews that this is a bullshit phone. This is useless. So you'll have all sorts of people. You cannot expect people to act sane. If you are in the social media and if you want patients to look at you, look at your reviews and come to you, be prepared for the flip side of things also. Don't take it personally. Approach it in a professional way and use strategy to attack it.